Thank you very much. I think that I have to acknowledge today the anniversary of Osagyefo and recognize the criminal overthrow that has set us back centuries. When people speak about Nkrumah, they speak about the many institutions that he set up, the physical infrastructure that he built, but the most important aspect of Nkrumah was one, his belief, his faith in the capacity of ordinary people. And that he understood that if we had self-belief, there was nothing we could not do as a people. Anything others have done, we can do and can surpass. Now, since it's overthrow, everything has been done to send us back to the slave house of colonialism, to destroy, to demolish our self-belief, our self-confidence. So today it is common that if we have a problem that we have to discuss, you find in our midst foreigners who have no place because their interests are different from ours. But some of them have a permanent interest. But most of them, what we now call development partners, have a permanent interest in our backwardness, in demonstrating the falsehood of what Nkrumah stated, that the African is capable of managing his affairs. A lot of money, time, effort is devoted to proving that right. And until we get a grasp of that, we are not going anywhere fast. So, Akosombo, Tamahabo, the hundreds of factories he built, all of those are important. But the most important is that we believe in ourselves, we own and set our agenda. Now, on the small matter of the MPP's attempt to steal the 2024 elections, it's always important to be guided by history. In opposition, under whatever pretext, real or imaginary, when the MPP had issues about the operations of the Electoral Commission and about the voters' register in particular, because the voters' register is at the heart of any proper election. The matter will be gone into initially against the opposition of the party in power, the NEC, but then a consensus will be reached, and then we'll move on. So you can do a narration of our journey from opaque ballot boxes to photo IDs that moved to color and then moved back to black and white under MPP. And I raise this point in order to point to another historical fact. That whenever the MPP has been in power, it has sought to close the democratic space. So I'm sure you remember the famous pronouncement of J.H. Mensah, Flash with Victory. I believe it was in, was it 2001? Yes, maybe. But when he said that by the time they had finished, the NDC will cease to exist, or words to that effect. And that is tied to this other point I made about Nkrumah, his belief in the people, and the criminal stupid enterprise that has been going on for the past 8 years, to erase him from our history and rewrite and introduce other criminals as our heroes in his place. Now, the fundamental difference between Nkrumah and those who invited him was his belief in the people. Now, every attempt to rewrite history is not only a criminal enterprise, but also part of another crime. So people are trying to prepare space and the context for more crimes against the people. Because the NPP never believed that ordinary people like the Atia the watchman or Ali the cow, what is it? The headsman has a right when Adishia are deciding on matters of what this should be done. They've never believed it. That was the principal point of departure between Nkrumah and the people who invited him. They had a very small, narrow project for the educated elite, the so-called Bintu. And what were they fighting for? They were fighting to be placed on the same level with the white man in the Gold Coast. There was no place in their project for the Mama Buloy or the Ntamfrafo. There was no place for the vast majority of their kinsmen, miners, farmers, fishers. No, that wasn't a project they were building. So when Nkrumah came in and brought in the people, he had destroyed their project, but they had lost control of it, which is the reason why our president and his ilk cannot forgive Nkrumah. And Abuja, they passed a law that made it illegal to hold an effigy of Nkrumah. To publicly celebrate him or refer to him. But that law, I think, went out with Kutu Achampong. Now they cannot do so legally. So they have to use other means. But that is also part of just building the background to what I'm about to say. So it's the hatred and contempt for the ordinary people, which is what drives a lot of what the NPP does. They don't believe that it is a business of ordinary people to determine our destiny. Simple. Okay? And under Kufuor, they had this task of trying to take over the functions of the Electoral Commission. You know, the attempt to take over procurement, which was resisted and defeated. Then they floated on some speculation, allegation, was it? That the Electoral Commission chair had engaged himself in the some foreign exchange transaction that was illegal. They floated it and they kept nursing it, but they didn't proceed with it. But that went hand in hand with preparations for the theft of the 2004 elections. I remember very clearly statements by Dan Boche about how they were going to win an overwhelming second term. Even then, there were pointers to the possibility that President Nkrumah might only last one term. But such was, I mean, even coming up to the second anniversary of his coming into power, it was key that his regime went beyond 2 years. Buzi had been taken out after 2 years. It was key. So it came up to the 4 years. It was important that they get a second term. And preparations went into it. Now, I've heard people quote various statements by either Afarijan or president or chairs from the past. The most famous and this thing is that elections are won at the that is nonsense. Elections can be won or stolen at every point. Before the polling, right up through the transmission, to the simple tallying. Now, I heard people say that, for instance, the NDC went to the Supreme Court without their results. What the NDC went to court to do was simply to get the Honorable Chairperson of the Electoral Commission to demonstrate how she came by the varying results. Simpliciter. But they didn't reckon with the accomplices on the court. So the theft was consummated. But in 2020, the key point to note about all of these matters is that starting from the appointment of Jean Mensah as EC chairperson, the Electoral Commission was converted into an extension of the NPP and its agency. I see that many of the public commentators, including my friends in the NDC, are laboring under a misimpression that they are dealing with an quote-unquote independent constitutional body. When what they are dealing with is the NPP. That's the only way you can make logic sense out of the foolish statement that they are supposed to have made, that what they will go on a demonstration. They are threatening a demonstration. Yes, of course. That is the only way you can square this. That the NPP is the Electoral Commission. Party headquarters, Jubilee House, the president, and a few key people in the shadows. I won't mention their names for now.